We had enough money to buy where the fuck Saddam was without ever firing a shot. Boot on the ground in Afghanistan. I knew this was going to be fucked up later. This is where fucking nations go to die. What the fuck did we think was going to happen? We're better than that? That's not going to happen to us? It was in the fine print, and we all knew it. The day I went in my first boot on the ground in Afghanistan, I knew this was going to be fucked up later. I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
At all.
And there's a lot of people who are so upset.
Yeah, well, hey, they didn't read the fine print. You should have looked at the original contract because, you know, Alexander the Great was the only one to hang on to it for as long as he did, and he was way more brutal than we could ever be.
Yeah.
So
when you think about what Special Forces mission, right? Special Forces mission, we're going to go to foreign nations, often under adversarial conditions.
Yeah.
We're going to identify portions of their military or whatever it might be, resistance force, whatever the situation calls for. We're going to arm them, we're going to equip them, we're going to train them, and we're going to put them in combat operations either beside us or on our behalf.
Yeah.
That requires trust.
Yeah.
An incredible amount of trust that's developed over a long period of time. Now, if we think about when we first went into Afghanistan and we linked up with organizations like the Northern Alliance, we had some level of trust with them from fighting the Russians when we provide them with Stingers and other ammunition and weapons that help them to repel and hold off the Soviets. But now we fast forward to today, and we think about the reports that come out. Is Al Qaeda and the Taliban now reconstituted in Afghanistan? Are they working together? We presume so. We know. We're funding millions and millions of dollars a week as the U.S. over to Afghanistan while they continue to train to have their ultimate goal of revenge on the United States. If we got to go back, what happens?
We're going to fucking whoop that ass. Them motherfuckers can't even do jumping jacks. You know what I mean? They had 6 Blackhawks. They're down to fucking 1 because Ahmed fucking crashed the other 5 thinking he could fly. Look, it's a waste of our fucking time. It was a waste of our manpower, right? But the reality is like, we're going to go back and fight them, and they're going to have our equipment because our politicians generally don't know what the fuck they're doing and won't listen to DOD going, we can't leave $60 trillion worth of shit in a fucking savage country. Yeah. They just can't do that. You know what I mean? If they did leave all that shit, they should have just fucking EOD'd it or fucking air bombed it all into just fucking dust.
Yeah.
My 2 cents. The only thing I would have left the Afghans if I pulled this fucking country out of that, I'd have left them fucking gravel. The gravel we stood on. You can have that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, what happens if the reports that we see are true. If the America's next fight is with a terrorist organization that comes out of Afghanistan, which presumably it may.
It'll never end.
Let's talk about Iraq for a second.
Okay.
Why were you the Sheriff of Baghdad?
Oh, yeah, man. I was always in Baghdad, first off, and then a buddy of mine, he was a State Department guy, and he ran the Crisis Action Center in the State Department. And he made these shirts. On the front, the Baghdad embassy logo. On the back, it said Sheriff of Baghdad, serving strategic policy one citizen at a time, right? And no one in the State Department thought it was funny. So he ended up with a ton of these T-shirts he made as a joke, right? So later, this guy quit working for the State Department, came to work for me, right? And he was like, hey, Sergeant Major, what size are you? I'm like, I don't know, double, triple X. What do you got? And he's like, I got a ton of T-shirts. You want them? And I was like, yeah, dude, just give them to me. I'll wear, because we wear civvies for, I wear it for jiu-jitsu. I wear it for working out. Like, we don't wear uniforms, right? So I just started wearing these Sheriff of Baghdad shirts everywhere, sniper comps, pistol comps, 3 guns, anything I was doing, you know what I mean? And then a buddy of mine was like, one day was like, someone asked, like, where's that Sheriff of Baghdad guy you always with, right? And then it kind of came to be a joke amongst a group of friends of ours. And then one of them's a business guy, and he's like, when I retired, right, like, if you're going to do this, you got to be a business. Yeah. And as he's giving me this business talk, I have no idea what he's talking about because I'm an Army guy. Right, he was like, and if I was going to name a business, he's like, you'd be missing a big opportunity if you didn't use that Sheriff of Baghdad.
That's the branding. Yeah. Branding piece you don't think about when you're in the Army.
Yeah, and I was like, I was like, so what are you saying? He was like, if you open a business, name it the Sheriff of Baghdad. I was like, okay. And that's what I did.
And then that's your overnight success.
Boom. Yeah.
We've talked about Iraq in a number of different episodes that we've had over the years. You know, I went to Iraq 3 times. You probably went 3 times that.
Yeah.
But
yes, correct.
yes. We look back at that conflict, and you said about Afghanistan, what did we expect when we set forth there? And what that makes me think about the Iraq piece.
Yeah.
We went into that country and we disbanded all of their legitimate forces.
We did.
What's your take on the decisions that were made early on in that conflict about disbanding the army, the police, and every organization, and then creating some semblance of chaos?
Yeah. We fucked that up big time. Like, you can't do that. You can't just get rid of the fucking whole army like that. You know what I mean? I mean, okay, Saddam was very meticulous, right? He might have been a fucking devil. His kids were definitely fucking demons and evil, that's for sure, right? However, Saddam had a good grip on the Middle East in general. He had a good grip on Iran. He had fucking Iran in check, right? He had the Middle East in check, right? So what Saddam did as a super clever guy is he put like different, you got Sunni, you got Shia, you got Kurds, you know what I mean? He put the Shia in charge of the Sunni battalions. So he mixed it up to where these units were as powerful they could be, and he separated them by religion. And, we put all the Shia by the Sunnis so the Sunni won't fuck with them, and vice versa, right? So he was very clever in picking these military commanders and placing them. Very good at this, right? And I think he was winning the war against Iran also, would be my opinion, all those years. Like, no matter how many people they lost, he was actually keeping Iran in check, So I think overall, the biggest mistake we could have been is just fucking scatter those guys to the 4 wind, because we're too lazy to fucking pay for it, but yet we're not paying anyway. And then I would tell you this is like, look, in general, I would say this. We had enough money to buy where the fuck Saddam was without ever firing a shot. Why the fuck didn't we just spend that money? Because I would have rather gave someone $1 trillion and got them than have the fight for 20 years, all those fucking needless deaths of all the fucking sons of this country. You know what I'm saying? So Saddam had a great hold over Iraq, and we fucking blew that.
Why'd we go
to Iraq?
Yeah.
Fucking WMDs, baby. WMDs. Huh?
We never found them.
Yeah, they found tons of shit.
Yeah.
All them chemical weapons in Syria, them came from Iraq.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the smoking gun is out there. We've seen evidence of it. It's just no one wants to admit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The nuke program, he had all the precursors. He had everything we thought he had. You know what I mean? That the smoking gun was found. It just, the news never put it out.
Yeah.
But all them chemical weapons went right to fucking Syria.
I know there's a lot of reports, I mean, even in open source reporting about, the convoys leaving in the early days of the war as we were coming up from the south and, getting out of there, going into Syria. And we've been, now we've been in Syria for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Continuing to fight ISIS, and were by and large pretty successful there.
Yeah.
What was the difference there than in Iraq?
Oh, man. Honestly, like, I would say the difference is Syria can never be tamed, and it'll always be a problem for us. So we have to work with the fucking people that are there, right? And this is a British concept, and this is what the British government does that we don't do, right? And a lot of times the SAS guys wouldn't come with us, is we'll go kill that motherfucker, but we'll create the power vacuum. And a lot of governments won't do that. They don't create the power vacuum. What they do is they play all sides. And when you play all sides, you end up being the ones needed. And this is a British strategy, right, for the wars, right? So what ends up happening in Syria is we play all sides. We're super needed. In Iraq, we didn't play all sides. We get rid of the army. We try to create our own. Look what happens with the Afghanistan army. Can't even do fucking jumping jacks. Like, those videos, they're fucking terrible. You know what I mean? But That's what's going to happen when you try to create your own army.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You talked about Iran. Certainly Iran's front and center in the news. I mean, now every day, as we've seen the escalation in the Middle East, they're we can't even call it a proxy war anymore with Israel because they're directly bombing each other.
Yeah, there's the proxy part. Take that away. This is war.
Where does this go?
Fuck, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this. Thank God, as a nation, we don't have the balls to stop Israel early. Because what happens is every time the Palestinians kick off, we tell Israel, stop it. But did the problem get solved?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Under the situation of doing things right, this problem's going to have to get solved. How does the problem get solved? Well, I would say the people that want everyone dead have to get killed. That's how you win a war, right? And then everyone says, like, especially in America, like, I have guys like, oh, we just need to kill everybody. Nazis tried that. That doesn't work either. We can't kill everybody.
Is there a diplomatic solution?
Probably, yeah. But we'll never see that. I mean, that means two grown men got to fucking eat crow as the head of their countries and fucking sit at a table and be like, okay, booby, you do this, I'll do that. And then both of them are going to be like, no, they're drawing lines in the sand.
Yeah.
Everything's negotiable. War is only a failure of fucking politicians and politics. And I'd tell you this, like, I had a fucking real high-level terrorist tell me one time, this war never was about religion. It's about money and power. It's all those guys want. It's not about fucking ideology. It's not about any of it. But isn't that what politicians want here? Money and power. So that's the way I've always seen the war on terror. This is for money and power. That's it.
When you look across the Middle East and the conflict that's going on now, and I don't disagree with you that money, power is a big part of that. What keeps Iran in check?
Nothing. What keeps them in check? I'll tell you, what's kept them in check after Soleimani died is they don't have the networking to pull off any big moves, right? Because that one guy has all the network. And as soon as that guy's gone, you got to rebuild a network. But that network has been dismantled so many times over by now that how potent is this network, even though it has new leadership? And it takes time for these to gain potency. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What did you think about the pager incident?
Fucking loved it. Like, I wish it was my idea. Blowing dicks off from 3,000 miles away. Boop. I thought it was great. I did. I'm not gonna lie. Am I not supposed to think
No,
that?
I think there's a lot of us who felt that way.
Right.
I think that it was look, you've been around covert clandestine operations. You're clear, we all have here.
Yeah.
And you think about the amount of planning that has to go into something like that. And planning is one thing, right? The technology to be able to do it, that's all one component. When I look at it, I look at just the balls to make the decision to execute that mission.
Yo, let's go. There's a million people with those balls here, and every day we got told no to clever shit. Let's go. More America, more clever shit in war. You know what I mean? Like, we're the smartest motherfuckers out there. We're the unconventional warfare guys of the fucking century. They should have got that from us 20 years ago. No. We all know the Israelis are pretty good at a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? But look, this should be our playback, We should be fucking and then you always wonder I always wondered, like, you ever wonder, like, how does Israel get all their intel on these guys? Like, how do they know this shit? Because I'm going to tell you this, like, when we went into Iraq or Afghanistan, there was fucking no intel. Our agency was fucking worthless, man, in my opinion, right? Like, we're doing operations to gain intel. I think for years, how these guys get all their intel? How do they know all this? This is how embedded they are. And really, like, them motherfuckers was AT&T that did that shit the whole time. Like, they had all the messages. They didn't even have to do the pagers. The fucking, pagers, iPads, phones. I fucking love every minute of this. Like, you know what I mean? And then they blow up later and like, oh, this pager's a little warm in my pocket. Boof. Guy falls sideways. I loved it, man. And I think the future should be filled with a ton more of this shit. And I'd also tell America, hey, we need to start doing assassinations again. You know what I mean? Because no one respects us in the fucking world. Hey, okay, we're bad neighbors, and we've proved ourselves to be bad neighbors, and I'm not going to fucking lie about that. But the reality is like, we're bad neighbors that'll come fuck you up. You know what I mean? That makes good neighbors. You know what I'm saying?